Good morning. Good morning to you. This is Reflections on Adami Mugo 93.1 FM. You know, anytime the clock strikes 8 o'clock, from that moment on a Saturday morning, right here on Adami Mugo 93.1 FM, we waste no time. We simply move on straight to reflect on the state of the nation, reflect on things happening around us, reflect on our own state of life, on the past, on things that make up history and things that matter to us as a people and things that can make us better. Good morning. My name is Sam Olugbeminiyi. Permit me to take you back into the scriptures, both Christians and people who are not Christians. This scripture would excite you. It is a New Century Version. Yes, it's a New Century Version of a particular chapter. And by the time I take that chapter, I'm very sure that a lot of you will get the message. Are you waiting for it? Okay, so if you check Ecclesiastes chapter 9, verse 11, it is the vision of somebody, and he goes on to say, I also saw something here else on earth. What did I see? He says, the fastest runner does not always win the race. The strongest soldier does not always win the battle. The wisest does not always have the food. The smartest does not always become wealthy. And the talented ones does not always receive praise. Time and chance happens to everyone. For those who are, conversant with their Bibles, they would easily connect with that particular scripture when I say that, and I saw under the heavens that the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong. I know that's the King James Version that a lot of people understand. The conjecture I'm trying to make here has to do with some of the things that I have seen at the Olympics. First, Botswana's Letsile Tebogo outran everybody, including Noah Lyles, who everybody had expected was going to win the 200 meters men's race in the Olympics. The Yorubas would say, or in Nigerian parlance, they would say, "Oh, dust everybody, Danu." Eshini. Yes, meaning that he's a horse, and he has been able to outpace everybody. Yes, Botswana's Letsile Tebogo was the name that was trending 2 nights ago because he outran every single person, including the man who a lot of people consider to be one of the fastest men in the world, the U.S. Noah Lyles, to win gold for Botswana. And guess what? The president of Botswana, he posted on his X how he was screaming during the race. In fact, it's the first time I have seen a president so excited that he lost his voice, because for the first time in history, somebody from his country was able to win gold at the Olympics. And then, you know what? He went on to declare an afternoon holiday yesterday. Yes. In Botswana yesterday, they just walked in the morning. They only walked in the morning, and in the afternoon to the rest of the day, there was an half-day holiday to celebrate their own son winning gold, and in tribute to his mom, who passed on earlier this year. He lost his mom in May, and, this is August, and he's winning a race. For a lot of people, they would have, lost focus. They would have, sank into depression, and they would come back and say, I'm not trying to blame anybody, but I'm just saying that if you suffer a loss today, it does not mean that that is the end of the world. Please and please, hold on, continue to do your thing, remain strong, and you'll be surprised by how things would evolve. Let me tell you that we're streaming live on Adami Mogo FM Lagos, I believe, and also on TikTok at Adamimogo931FM this morning. So you can go to either of those places on Facebook and also on TikTok to watch us live. Please pardon me. We are live on Adami Mogo 931 FM. 931 FM. Yes, you know that we also have Adami Mogo FM, but we are streaming live on Adami Mogo 931 FM. So go there. I want to see you drop all the comments, especially about the Olympics. Yes, and still on that conjecture of the race is not to the swift or the fastest runner doesn't always win the race. Well, it happened to our very own Tobi Amusan. Yes, yesterday, everybody was waiting and hoping that Tobi Amusan was going to win easily the 100 meters hurdles race. Unfortunately for our girl, who is perhaps the fastest female athlete in the world, she didn't qualify. That's a big shame. A big shame. She didn't qualify. And the only way Tobi Amusan is going to qualify is if one of the finalists today suffers an injury and says, "Oh, I am not running today. I don't think I can run in this final." That's the only way Tobi Amusan would get the opportunity to be able to run, or yes, in that final race. But as it stands at the moment, Tobi Amusan has kissed the final goodbye. Quite a shame. It was also a shame yesterday that the Nigerian male quartet of for the 4x400 relay race also did not qualify. They were disqualified in the semi-finals. It was quite a shame. Quite a shame. Sorry, in the finals, yes. They didn't, because they had to put their feet on the line. It was a really sad one. So as it stands, Nigeria has not recorded any medal whatsoever. And a lot of conversations are going on as to how do we change what is happening in Nigeria? How do we get people to begin to look at sports, not just football? Please, let's get it very clear. Not just football. How can we begin to see, sports as a big deal in Nigeria? People want to run. People want to be cyclists. People want to be, to engage in kayak. People want to engage in so many things. How exactly can we help to develop and nurture these talents in Nigeria? And not just because if you look at the basketball team, the Tigers that all of us have been screaming and shouting about, a lot of them have no business in Nigeria. In fact, nobody on that team, including the coach, has had any form of development in Nigeria. There are people who ply their trade abroad. There are people who work abroad. There are people who, in the U.S., majority of them in the U.S. has helped us to develop them. And because some of them could not make it into the U.S. team, they have no choice but to come represent their homeland, Nigeria. So, how can Nigeria change that story? How can Nigeria change that story? It's a big question. I'm hoping that my first guest this morning, Engineer Rich Bankole Akomolafe, would be able to link up with me. It's been difficult trying to reach him this morning, but I'm hoping that he will be able to link up with me and we will discuss this at length, because I know that he was in Paris, for the first few days of the Olympics. So let's get on with that. But if you also have your thoughts, your recommendations on what we can do to ensure that sports becomes a bigger deal. And when I say bigger deal, I mean that let's look beyond football. Let's look beyond, because when you say big deal, sports, everybody simply just zooms off into football. But let's look at the bigger picture. Boxing, wrestling, cycling, swimming. What can we do to ensure that this is better, developed, that talents are better developed in our very own country, Nigeria, so that perhaps in the next Olympics we would record a medal, right there in wherever it's going to be hosted. All right, let's get on into the other conversations this morning. Today is August 10, and to a large extent, even though we know that the protests have subsided, I am getting feelers that there would be a protest in some places today. But let me quickly take you through what's happening in the newspapers this morning. Some of it you already know, some of it you've heard about, but let's just run through it quickly. Again, Plateau governor relaxes curfew. You would find that on Punch newspaper. But let's look at the main story on Punch newspaper. Federal government floods major cities with policemen ahead of 1 million man march. Yes. Let's look at that story. Hundreds of policemen and security operatives have been deployed in major cities across the country as organizers of the End Bad Governance protest prepare for a 1 million man march today. Punch has learnt. The protest, scheduled to last for 10 days and expected to climax today, has been marred by killings and attacks on protesters and journalists. The nationwide protesters are demanding a reversal of the fuel subsidy removal, an increase in the minimum wage to 250,000 naira, and an end to bad governance, among other issues. So, if you're right there on the streets, please be very careful. But we would give you updates, as they come. Well, in case you missed it, Dangote Refinery, NUPLC trade wars over crude oil allocation. Yes, over the week, there was a probe into what is happening with oil sabotage in Nigeria. Well, eventually, an official from Dangote Refinery was able to make it clear that, hey, gentlemen, we get about 60% of our crude from the NNPCL, but that is really not enough. Okay, let's move on to other stories. ECOWAS defense chiefs seek return of Niger, Burkina Faso, Mali. Let's look at other stories. Stranger than fiction. Woman born with male-female sex organs fathers 2 children. You can check that out on Punch newspaper. All right, a quick look at Nigerian Tribune this morning. Right, well, it looks like Nigerian Tribune is not loading up, but let's check the Nation newspaper. Poland begs for release of detained citizens in Nigeria. Don't forget that about 7 Polish nationals were arrested in connection with, showing off or flying flags, foreign flags during the protest in northern Nigeria, especially in Kano State. Well, Poland is now begging for their release. Let's move on from that. USAID Nigeria orders lead breastfeeding campaign. And Abuja school honors. Okay, let's look at this. Late Emir of Bogus family seeks presidential intervention over unauthorized use of land. And Miss South Africa contestant Chidinma Adesina bows to pressure, withdraws from pageant. Those are some of the big stories trending on the Nation newspaper. Don't forget, you can always go to Facebook at Adamimogo931FM to drop your remarks. Don't forget that the first question I have asked this morning is taking a look at how Nigeria has performed woefully at the Olympics. This is perhaps the first time in history that we are not getting any medal. I mean, since 1996, that we are not getting any medal. Then, what is the way forward? How can we even develop sports? Because even the Tigress, who a lot of people are excited, got into the quarterfinals, the first African team to get into the quarterfinals of the Olympics, be it male or female team. A lot of the players, yes, are Nigerians by citizenship, because they have chosen to associate with Nigeria. but did not gain any form of support or development from Nigeria. What can we do? Don't forget, the Minister of Sports is a senator. He has admitted that he exactly doesn't know much about sports, but he would try his best to understudy. So maybe this is a time to offer him some bit of free advice. Yes, let's offer the minister some free advice now, even though we know that he would have a retinue of special advices. So go to Facebook at Adamimogo 931 FM to drop your comments and recommendations on that. I want to see that just before I open the phone lines. Alright, just going to take 1, 2, 3 calls, and then thereafter I would try and connect with my first guest this morning. If we're able to reach him and the network is favorable, great. If not, then we may have to just leave it a little bit open until we then connect with our next guest. Alright, who is on the phone lines this morning? Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning to you.
I'm calling from
Your name again?
My name is Israel.
All right, Israel. Go on, Israel.
I'm calling you from
All right.
You see, this has been a problem in Nigeria where those who are supposed to represent the country effectively are ignored. Remember vividly in those days, there's a place called Afuse where athletes are trained. The place lies in a dungeon. Afuse, where people are well trained from all looks and corner of the country. They converge there and they train them. Then you select. We don't look for them again. There should be this slogan of catch them young. We don't train them. Injury time will bring people in to come and represent. Whereas we have potential individuals that can deliver. Those are the places we missed it. Once we go back to the genesis, we can't get there. It's not a cause. It's a reality of life. I preach you.
So, thank you very much, Israel. Israel says that we have lost the style of catch them young, and we must find a way to revive it. Hello, good morning. Hello. All right, well, let me call out the phone lines for those who are tuning in for the first time. 0805 588 192. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning to you, Damilola.
Yes,
Go on. Go.
yes, the fact is this. You know, in terms of sports, we can't. Because the fact is just that it will only reflect that an entire state is not organized. What preparation do they have before that Olympic? Other countries used to start 2 or 3 years ahead of that event. But right here, we don't prepare. The only thing we prepare for Nigeria, we always curious about is politics. And because elections and all those things, but anything has to do with global commerce. Because we don't know that. They've been doing it before. But presently, the Nigerian state is not at fish. I cannot even tell you maybe those people went there with your phone.
All right, Damilola, you may have to call back. I don't know. We're having difficulties, trying to connect or link up with you. All right, let's try and take just one more call before I play you a song this morning and bring up further the conversation. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello. All right, 0805 588 192. 0805 588 192. Hello, good morning. Hello,
Good
good morning.
morning.
Yes, good morning
Yeah,
to
my
you.
name is Samuel Samanet from Alakwaju.
Isa Mustafa, good
Yeah,
morning to you.
whenever you press the button of phone, you
Hmm.
pick it and you're unable to speak out. You press another one, press button again. I'm a
Okay.
specialist in for technology.
Thank you for
I
your
know
special
much about
advice.
studio. So I am having like I don't want if you don't want me to call your program, tell me if you don't know you go listen to your station self. We want to
Thank
really
you, Mr.
recognize
Isa
the
Mustafa.
program
Let's
doing
get
for
your
this generation.
contribution. Hmm.
You will know that you need to work with me. You got the journalist of the year through your recognition of what leadership going on with
All
this
right,
country.
Mr. Isa Mustafa, thank
Yes?
you very much. Let's have
Okay,
your
Nigeria.
comments. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Please, let's focus. Let's not shift focus. Let's focus simply on the topic of conversation. Hello, good morning. Please turn down the volume on your radio set. All right, at this point, let me take a breather. Hmm? Yes, let's take a breather and simply play you a song. This is one of the latest tunes from the rave of the moment. His name is Ahmed or Lolade, but a lot of you know him.
Long for my
the Mr. Money sound. And Wizkid, God, who knew Wizkid could, be so retrospective, in his lyrics? Quite interesting, talking about how the loss of his mother, who died sometime last year, impacted on his own well-being, and now he has found some bits of resolution to move forward and go ahead in life. Just like Letsile Tebogo, who lost his mom in May, but in August, he is now the world record holder. I mean, the world champion in the 200 meters men's race. So it means that if you lose something, you should go ahead and attempt to win something, because it's always good that way. Good morning. It's the reflections this morning, so you would understand. Now, making all these conjectures and making all these explanations, it's important. But I also need you to join me by going to Adaimogo 931 FM and dropping your reactions. I can see viewers there, but hey, what's the essence of the views if you're not dropping your remarks so that I can take them or read them? Earlier, I said that I was expecting your contributions on what we can do to make sports much better, sports development much better in Nigeria. Well, my guest for that particular subject is here to connect with us. So we would move on to the other subject, and it has to do with the protest as well as Nigerians holding their own leaders accountable. This morning, my guest is not exactly a guest because he is a friend of the house. Features regularly, used to feature regularly as an analyst, but is currently on leave because we don't know how long that leave is going to take, because he is currently contesting to be the governor of Ondo State. I think, well, let me not reply on his behalf, but let me say that he is contesting to be governor of Ondo State, and perhaps wants to move from the process of doing all the talking to seeing how it is exactly and putting in all that action that he talks about right here on radio. My guest this morning is a comrade. I don't know if he's still a comrade, but he is Comrade Kunle Ajayi. We all know him as Comrade Wiseman. Ajayi is the AAC governorship candidate in Ondo State. Good morning, Comrade Kunle Ajayi.
Good morning, Sam. How are you doing? I remain comrade,
Good morning, comrade. Good to have you join us this morning. It's been quite a while, and I must ask, what does it look like? I know it's quite a familiar scene for you, but what does it look like this time around on the political scene in Ondo State?
Yes, it is. It's more of like in a gutter format, because we have a situation now where we have the worst of the worst contesting. You get it? So it's a bad situation for us. It's a bad situation because it is our intervention. It is that we are contesting. That is why issues are being raised. You have contestants talking about being lucky as if it's a Naira bet, or a sporty bet. You have contestants talking about moving. You don't find issues. So, but we are inputting issues into it. And with our intervention, the Ondo ruling class is being shaken to the bones. So the political scene here, we need to bring it back to the Ondo of intellect, to the Ondo of thinking, to the Ondo of reason. So that's what is happening. So we are turning the tissues to issues here.
So you're implying that for not just the political class, but basically for a lot of Nigerians, but not just for the political class, but those in Ondo State, that if not for the input of yourself and maybe a couple of other candidates, that these elections would be premised on something else. And I'm curious, what would this election be premised on exactly, if not for issues which we would come to that you have raised?
The worst government ever in the history of Ondo State is the Olu government. And you have both deputies of his first and second term contesting from the two big parties, the APC and PDP. So, if you look at Adeleto's contest in the first and second term, It is about, we can, the first time he said he will bring the national down to the state. On the second time, you find him doing the Boko Sebe. That means people should vote and get food on their table, soup in their pot, bribing, paying to get to government. And when you find that governance, the Akeredolu government have not done anything in terms of policies. So you now have Provided that you are Agbo under him now, you get it, who were under him contesting. And if you are saying that he's a lucky person, Agbo is talking that he go down, nothing really specific. On several topics, like the local government, they say we have to intervene to say you can't be talking about SCDAs and being loyal to Akeredolu when we talk about local government. What we need to talk about is autonomy of the local council autonomy, because it's a redistribution of wealth, which is the basic issue. So all of these are issues that have been happening, but our intervention is concretizing it, because we are talking about issues. We are talking about accountability. We are talking about the fact that if 16 billion allocation from federal government is coming to Ondo State in July, what is happening?
All right.
Why are there no new industries?
Comrade,
why is the social welfare of the people not improved?
So at this point, do you think that the people are beginning to shape out the issues that matter to them? And if you think that is happening, I'd like you to mention to us what issues would be the defining factors in this upcoming election in Ondo State.
Yes, basically it should be our issue, because what is the issue we have put on the plate? Most of the people contesting are contesting from Ondo South. And then the question is now whether, because on our own intervention, we are placing two issues on board. That is one, Ondo State needs to go back to government business. Because at a point in time, Ondo State had Owena Holdings, where you have Owena Bank, you have Ifon Ceramic, you have Ulua Glass, you have Uktipaompa PLC. So there was wealth creation. Governmental and collective wealth creation is the first issue that you want to put on the plate. And then the second issue is social welfare. There are no more education, no more healthcare. Housing is a mirage. You get it? I mean, on the streets of Akure now, you need to see the interconnect within Akure. Akure looks like a rural area. You get it? So these are the two issues that we are putting on board. And they are the two basic issues of political economy. The gross domestic product and the human development index. So that is what we want on the platter. That is what we want to discuss. That is what we want as what people should talk about. So that's the issue.
All right. Well, I think the last time I had somebody from Ondo State, it was Honorable Gbenga Edema. I know you're quite familiar with that name because he's also contesting. Yes. And I asked him about the issue of the Boko Sebe, which you have also just referenced in your address this morning. And I said, does he think that the Boko Sebe would be reenacted during the November elections? And he shared two positions, which I'm going to put out, and would expect your submission on it. One, he said that he doesn't think that the Boko Sebe would be reenacted in the November elections. Two, he then went on to defend it and said that, see, you can't stop a politician or somebody who is contesting from giving somebody who has traveled from a very far place to come and vote for him transport fare or money for biscuits or money for water or anything. He said these things are normal things. And in fact, reference to 1993, the 1992 convention of the SDP, where he said that the federal government handed delegates some bits of cash, to support their journey to the convention. And that was his defense, that, see, you can't stop this thing entirely. And I'm going to put it to you. Do you agree with those submissions or not?
I think what he's talking about is logistics. But that was not what happened during the Boko Sebe. This one was, you have the APC going to ballot areas and paying voters to say, please vote for us, we will give you 10,000 after you vote and show it. That's a different point
But is that not?
Party
But
logistics is a different thing.
but is that not? If you're doing that on election day, there are people. There are some there are politicians who will argue when caught or at any point that see we didn't tell them to vote for us, so we just gave them that money to say, don't worry, this is for your biscuits, this is for you staying under the
That's
sun.
why you know that there is no difference between Gbenga and them and even all of these people. Because it's the same thing.
But
they do vote buying. He was in Osopadek and there is nothing, no development on the oil producing areas. No development. So they will always defend this. You get it? But if you really have worked as a governor, if you really have worked as a political person that the people understand you, you don't need to go and give them money. You don't need it.
It's now a question of, do you think that the people of Ondo State come November would stand at the polling units and be expecting politicians to come again and say, we would give you 5,000 naira if you vote for us, and some of them will take it or either bargain for something higher? Do you see that happening during these elections?
That is what the governor is planning to do. That is why he's not performing and he's not doing anything.
Do you think that the people are going to play ball?
It will depend on the kind of orientation that we give to them.
Between now and November?
Yes, it will depend on the kind of campaign, it will depend on the orientation that we give to the masses.
But from your own analysis, do you think that the public are ready to defy whatever provision is given to them?
We hope so, because the purchasing power of an average Ondo State people have reduced so drastically. So people are much more hungry than 10,000 or 20,000. As it is.
All right. Well, I understand that today is day 10 of the protest. Maybe we should tilt away from Ondo conversation, but talk about the protest. I understand that today is day 10 of the End Bad Governance protest. And we understand that security officials have been deployed to major cities across the country to ensure that there is law and order. You are in Akure, Ondo State. I'm wondering, what was the protest like in Akure? Because we didn't even really pay much attention to Akure.
It's been suppressed severally. The governor is buying a lot of people everywhere, street to street, junction to junction. But it's a test of time, and today it is broke. So the people are going to be massively rising. Already they're going to be protesting.
Are you on the protest ground already? Because I can hear sounds underneath.
Yes, I'm closer. I'm there already.
And what's the turnout like?
The turnout is getting good, and the momentum is rising.
But generally, you've had the president's reaction to this protest. You've had the federal government's reaction and even that of some state governors to this protest. Was it as expected?
Yes, we don't expect anything good to come out of Israel. So, because we already know that everything they did were conscious. Reducing the purchasing powers of the people was conscious. Removal of subsidies was conscious. All of those things are conscious. So we expect the president to react the way here. And that's why we are also happy that people have responded to him too. Massively, and people are still marching. So it's a great response.
The protest appeared to have lost steam a day after the president's speech. What do you think accounts for that?
Whatever it is, you find the government where building society is not what they care about. So those are part of what is happening. And if you look at many of the objections you have here and there in different cases within this process, it is one of the first ones that people themselves give government deadline. We say this is the period when we want to do this and all of that. So you find the government also doing a lot of divide and conquer, divide and rule within the government. So it's expected the way things are. But I can bet it with you, there will still be more concentration. There will still be the people coming to say this is what we will do. And is rising, and as soon as you know it, everything will come together for good.
All right, Mr. President made a lot of remarks during his presidential address, and it would bring me to the question of why do you, because I know you are highly critical of Mr. President, why have you refused to show faith in the remarks and the promises that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has made so far?
He is not addressing any of the demands. And what the president is saying is that people can go to hell. So he's still hell-bent on keeping total deregulation, still hell-bent on naira devaluation, still hell-bent on reducing the purchasing power. There's nothing being done on food pricing. There's nothing being done on food subsidies and a lot of other things. So the switch is expected.
But if you say that he's hell bent on doing all the things that you claim that he's doing and is not in the interest of Nigerians, don't you think that Mr. President must have taken a note of caution as a result of the protests that have taken place?
He has not. He has not.
Why do you think? Why do you think he has not?
And you can see that in the speech. You can see that in the speech. The subsidy is still being totally removed. So every Nigerian that listened to that speech knew that it was worthless to what people are rising against.
All right. So the big question this morning would then be that beyond the protest, I mean the physical protest, are Nigerians really, really ready to hold their leaders accountable?
Yes. Yes, and that is why they are rising in their millions.
Are you sure that you speak the minds of millions of Nigerians?
Yes. Everywhere. Go to every street. Every part of the places we've been to, I tread around Accra this morning. People complaining everywhere. So.
But is that not what Nigerians do? They say they complain and then they adjust again. They complain and they adjust again.
But this time around, they give government a deadline of a month. It has not happened before. And they were able to lead through.
There are 15 demands. 15 demands. And just last week, while I was interacting with somebody from a chieftain of the APC, he said, see, these 15 demands are simply elitist. He said, simply let the president crash the prices of food and Nigerians would not care about any of those other demands.
What of the prices of petrol? What of naira devaluation? There are other demands, bigger demands. All of the demands are very important.
All right. I just wanted to hold your thoughts a bit while we take a couple of calls and reactions. 0805 588 192. I have Comrade Wiseman Adekunle Ajayi on phone this morning, all the way from Accra, Ondo State. Hello, good morning. Good morning to you. Mr. Odunuga, good morning to you, sir. Let's have your question or your remarks this morning. Mr. Odunuga, can you speak up a bit? We can't hear you clearly.
Yeah, I said you have been on the street of Nigerians from the days now, because I've always given the report about the protest and every other thing. Welcome back to the studio.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, welcome, sir. I'd love to hear from your guest that the guest is not a guest again, he's a man of the house. That is Comrade Wiseman. Comrade Wiseman is now contesting for the governor of Ondo State, and he's still on the street. Is that where he's going to take his campaign to? Or that one can give him an opportunity to be the governor of that state? That is the only question I want to ask.
All right. Thank you very much. All right, Comrade, I hope you got that question.
I didn't get the last part of the question.
He's saying that well, you have moved from being a talker to now joining politics to contest as governor of Ondo State. He said, but you're still on the streets as an activist, and he's wondering, is that where you are taking your campaign to, or why exactly are you back on the streets when you should be strategizing like every natural or traditional politician in Nigeria?
Well, for me, there is no thing bad in it. When Buhari was contesting the last time, he was also on the streets. Tinubu too was also on the streets protesting. So what matters is the people and working with them. So where the people are is where we should always be, all of us.
But it would also prop up the question of why is it that prior to taking power, it appears that a lot of politicians align closely with the desires of the people, and
but
then
I've always been with the people without contesting.
And
so,
when they get into power, it's a different story entirely.
You know, I can't stop now.
No. My question is this, Comrade Wiseman. A lot of activists are often on the side of the people before, yes. But then as soon as they switch sides and get into power, it's a different story entirely. Why?
That is why we are different. It's ideological difference.
The question...
I'm a revolutionary. So many of all of these people do it for doing sake. So many of them are pseudo activists. But we have been genuine activists. You remember that we said it even before this government got to place. All of the things we predicted happened. So that is the issue. And I think I have to go now. The protest needs me.
All right. Thank you very much, Comrade Wiseman Adekunle Ajayi. Thank you very much for your time with us this morning.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Well, let's take a couple of reactions. Hello. Good morning. Good morning to you.
I'm Mr. Ade by name.
All right, Mr. Ade, go on. Yes.
You will never win online local government. I'm begging to them. That man is, I don't want to use another word for him.
No, do not insult, please. Just...
Listen. He has been chastising Tinubu, and he will never be like Tinubu. He will never be more like Tinubu. Where are his people? Tinubu is trying his best. 1 year cannot be long for Tinubu to come up all the rubbish that has been existing since 1960. So please, they should allow Tinubu to do what to do for Nigeria. God bless Nigeria.
Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, let's keep all the reactions coming, but ensure that you do not insult anybody. Just head straight to the point. Deal with the point, deal with the issue, and let's have all the reactions that we can get. We seem to have ample time this morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. This is Ola from
Ola from Surulere, go on.
Yes.
Hello, Ola. All right, Ola, you may have to call us back. Tijani Olawale Ismail on Facebook. Good to read from you, Tijani. He's saying as long as things are still being done the way we have been doing it in the past in all areas of our lives in this country, most especially in government, we shall continue to have the same experience. I see this country as a country without a vision and mission, a country with a faulty foundation, a country yet to have patriotic and selfless leaders. Good morning to you. Good morning to you, Tijani Olawale Ismail. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. I really hope that the network would be fair to us this morning, but it is more reason why you should go to Facebook instead, as well as on YouTube, to drop your comments so that I can read your comments clearly without any network messing things up. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Yes, this is Ola from Surulere.
All right, Ola, this is clearer now.
Thank you
Go
very
on.
much.
Yeah.
Yes, so I will advise the comrade, they should come with economics indices. Not that they will just say fuel should go to 100 naira. Is it possible? Is it realistic? They need to do it and prove it to Nigeria. They should reverse floating of naira. Do we
million to sustain it? Those are the questions they should ask. They should not be misleading people. They too should talk like intellectual and put it to the people that yes, there is alternative. Not that you just come and demand with agidi. Agidi don't solve problem. We know that the floating of naira save us because we are already spending 97% of our money
Revenue.
debt. How do you want government to run if they don't float naira? If they don't remove subsidy, where would they get 6 trillion that they will be using to pay subsidy? So those are the questions that is begging for answer. Where's our means? They have 23 trillion. How would they pay it? They don't know that all these are the cause of this inflation. They should tell us, not just to come with agidi and be shouting and putting people to protest, and they will loot people's shop, loot people's property, and the long run will not gain anything. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ola. Thank you very much, Ola from Sulere. All right, 0805 588 192. 0805 588 192. You could also try 0805 588 193. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning to you.
Can you hear me, sir? Good morning.
Good.
I'm calling from Ogboi.
All right, go on.
About removing the fuel subsidy. I was the only lone voice in the wilderness. Don't touch the subsidy. Go and stop stealing the subsidy. Stop stealing there. I even call up too many platforms that if we cannot stop stealing, ravaging the subsidies regime, maybe we call back the colonial master to come and recolonize us. If we cannot stop stealing there, you can't tell America to stop giving out food stamps. They print trillion every month to give people who cannot survive the American economy. Yes, I met food stamps in America as far back as the 70s. Today they are still been giving food stamps. If you go all over Europe, the Yoruba people, they call it Owo Baba. Whether you work or not, the government will give you something at the end of the month. So what Mr. President can do now, let him use executive order. All the filling stations in Nigeria should be equipped with electronic gauges. Electronic gauges will tell every Nigerian, will tell the government how many liters each filling station is getting, the supply per day, and how many liters they are selling. So from there, we will know our daily consumption. And the government can subsidize our daily consumption. The way they are one day where the corruption of a subsidy in 1990 is that they will be paying subsidy on the high sea. And that is why they are diverting it. Why don't you pay subsidy at the pump? In America, in Europe, the collection gas are according to the number of gallons in America, so that pumps in Europe they sell it later. So they collect sales gas at the filling station, and they know their daily consumption. This is because the local government, the state government, the federal government, that is why they collect their sales gas. But here, we don't know how many filling stations we have. We don't know how many liters have been given to them. We're just paying. So that is why they don't even bring any product in, and they are collecting subsidy. So that is the issue. That is the solution. If to equip the filling station with electronic gauge, we don't cost each filling station up to 50,000 naira, or it's my job to install it. It's not up to 50,000 naira, and each filling station can afford that. And I can sit down here and know how many filling stations are in Akwa Ibom, in Bodu, or in Lekki, and I will know how many liters they are getting and how many liters they are selling per day. So I will pay subsidy on only the one sold in Nigeria. So nobody can divert it to any foreign country. Thank you, sir, for giving me.
Thank you very much. Really, I must say that point itself is quite valuable, and that will prompt me to play an excerpt from what Wale Edun said earlier this week about the payment of fuel subsidy. Let's quickly listen to this.
Consumption in Nigeria of petroleum. We know we spend 600 million, and I think is important to make, is that nobody knows the consumption in Nigeria of petroleum. We know we spend $600 million dollars every month on importation. The issue here is that all the neighboring countries are benefiting. So we're buying not just for Nigeria, we're buying for the countries to the east, almost as far as Central Africa. We're buying for countries to the north, and we're definitely buying for countries to the west. And so we have to ask ourselves as Nigerians, how long do we want to do that for? I think that's the key issue.
Yes, that is the voice of the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, saying that, yes, we do not even have a record of the amount of petrol that is consumed daily or monthly by Nigerians. We simply know that roughly $600 million is spent because you also make importation expenses on behalf of a couple of neighboring countries. That's according to the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy. I had to play that in line with what my last caller, said, that, see, instead of subsidizing petrol at whatever level, subsidize at the pump, remove the corruption in the oil importation sector, because it's more or less a sector on its own. But let's say the oil importation business, remove the corruption from there. Let's have electronic gauges and let government know that this is the amount of numbers of liters of petrol that is consumed daily by Nigerians. I guess it's important that we have that. I remember that there was a meeting at some point with former President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, and former President Muhammadu Buhari, in which the former President of the Senate had said, see, I do not think that Nigerians consume 60 million liters daily, as some persons had suggested. He said, I do not believe it, and I think that we need to review it. So, really, really interesting. And the Minister of Finance has just affirmed it, that we don't have a record. Yes, there is no database, or, of what the amount of petrol spent, used daily in Nigeria. That's a serious source of concern. But let's keep the conversation going. Hello, good morning. Good morning to you. Damilola calling me back, I believe. All right, Damilola, go on.
In fact, it's so shameful that we don't have record. I can't believe it. But then just that having all these years, all the activities in the NPC has been a kangaroo